Cam Thomas is definitely closer to a Jordan Poole type than he is Devin Booker, and that's not good. I wouldn't be shelling out a big contract to him anytime soon, but I mean, I still have hope, and I still think peak Cam Thomas is better than peak Jordan Poole. Don't get me wrong. I like Cam Thomas as a player, but he hasn't had the best situation yet either. So it's hard to judge that guy as well. With that said, I mean,
it's like Jordan Poole just helped the Warriors win a championship coming off the bench. You know what I mean? Like I feel like Cam Thomas, right, the losing player, the not a winner label is more of circumstance than anything else. Now listen, there's agency in this, because when Cam is coming out and not saying, but when reports are coming out, Nets Daily did some reporting the other day that, you know, he's looking for $30 million a year in the ballpark of 40. He looks at Jalen Green, fair. He looks at Emmanuel Quickley, kind of not fair, but with Quickley's injuries, I guess I get it. And he looks at Tyler Hero, not fair, all-star, as guys that should determine his market. So I can see him wanting to make the 33 a year that Jalen does, but 40, it feels like, you know, again, go get your money. Like we're not sitting here being like players shouldn't want to be paid what they think they're worth. We're just saying for an NBA landscape that is so clearly willing to let Cam Thomas wiggle and squirm his way into a qualifying offer because he wants to be paid what he's worth, he is not helping himself by demanding a certain compensation. Like no one was saying last year that Gary Trent Jr. only signing for a minimum was like some huge crime. You had some nerd podcasts and blogs.
I was kind of against that, but yeah.
But you didn't write a soliloquy about how like the middle class of the NBA is dying. And like, well, yeah, like we know that, but not every free agency is a referendum on that. You know, I do feel like we've lost the plot a little bit. You have fans that watch someone like Jalen Brunson take a pay cut, which is really just getting as much money as he can a year earlier. But who knows? Maybe by investing it in that year, he might end up with more money than he would have wound up with waiting a year to sign. Like, who knows, right? The point is that got frowned upon because it's like, oh, we're encouraging capitalistic owners to, you know, penny pinch and all these things. And it's like, okay, now a player wants to go get paid what they're worth. They don't want to take a pay cut. And everyone's like, you selfish bastard. Like, whoa, we got to pick one, guys. Like, we got to pick one. So I don't know. I think people are just kind of quick to just hate on the athlete because it's easy. Rooting for Cam. Hope I get shocked by a Shams notification. But I also do understand from team's perspective how they're thinking about, oh, this guy thinks he's worth more than everyone else thinks he's worth. I think he's worth something, but he's not worth that. So I'm going to teach him a lesson and treat him like he's worth nothing. I know a guy who could bust down his AP with some perfect timing, just threw some touchdown passes, that probably had a similar experience just a couple months ago with, hey, I'm better than teams think I am, but teams think I'm better than I think I am and are humbling me as a result. I see Shador Cam parallels here.
Whoa, I wasn't expecting that last part there. Now you're fucking me up a little bit. But I will say your rant there and money-wise reminded me a little bit about society, and the NBA pay structure is kind of looking that way where it's becoming where the middle class used to be just so big, you know, and now the middle class is moving down to the lower class in society for money-wise, you know what I'm saying? Where the upper class is just separating themselves even more, and that's what's happening in the NBA right now.
CJ McCollum saying, oh, teams shouldn't be penalized for drafting well. Bro, what do you mean you don't like Subway? You made the sandwich. Like, what do you mean? Like,
oh my God, dude. No, but like the best players are making way more now than ever, and the middle class players aren't making what they used to, I feel like, with this new bargaining agreement. Probably might play its way out over the next couple of years, but at this very moment, I just feel like the middle class players aren't earning what they did a couple of years ago. Am I off on that?
I think when we're talking about upper, middle, and lower class from an NBA player perspective, right? I think that the fact that there's a cap is the reason for that. because the really, really high-end top players are actually underpaid. I know they're getting 50 mil a year, 60 mil a year, and
Oh,
it
I love
sounds
this
like
take.
it's absurd, right? But because they're caps, right? The fact that the best players in the world are getting capped, that's why you see players ranked 25 through 50 getting the same. And so that's why that there's a gap between the middle class, because those players, the players that are in 25 to 50 getting 45 mil a year, that's where they should be. Whereas the upper class should be getting 80, 90, 100 million a year.
So
I hate to say it, and fans will hate that because, like, oh my gosh, these players are so entitled. They're already making $100 million a year, but they're bringing in so much business, and it's more than just the basketball on the court. And we're talking guys like Steph Curry and LeBron James and those people that are just box office type players, and they deserve more than what the cap maximum is.
I also think there's something to like, what other league, in what other league do we have like an unwritten agreement where if you're not a star, but you're close enough to being one and you're young, you're just going to get paid like you are one of the best players in the league? Like, NBA fans have conflated potential with production. I can't blame NBA fans for that because they are watching every year, every month, every free agency, a system that squeezes out talent. You either are a top 60 guy in the league, so you're getting paid like top 20, or you're a bottom 200 guy in the league, which is half the league, and you're getting a minimum contract. So like the evaporation of the NBA's middle class is super interesting. And it's part of why this discussion from a team standpoint is so important, because these teams that we're seeing as clear tankers, like this is where guys like Malik Monk or Lonnie Walker or, these different players, where they go to try and stake their claim to a full-time job, to a real contract, to a payday, to escape the minimum contract cycle. Like in baseball, there's a $15 million a year pitcher, a $20 million a year pitcher, a $25 million a year pitcher, and a $40 million a year pitcher. I bet each of those guys are playing more or less up to those deals on average, right? But in basketball, you either give a guy 10 or 50. And if he's worth 35, then you better pay him 50, unless so many teams have paid guys worth 35, 50, that now you're worth 35 and no one can afford to give you more than 10. It is a fascinating problem that the NBA has on its hands right now. And the fact that we can start out a podcast saying, hey, these three teams are not going to try and win this season, and everyone knows it. I'm curious of the role that plays. Like, are we devaluing production selectively? Are we saying, oh, well, Devin Booker was bad on the Suns when the Suns were bad, but that wasn't Booker's fault. Cam Thomas was bad with the Suns and with the Nets when the Nets were bad, but that is Cam Thomas's fault. So is shot creation less valuable than ever? I think so. Are intangibles more valuable than ever? Maybe not, but maybe we're lined up with like the 80s now with regard to that. I can't think of, like, we talk about teams that should be tanking, and we can get back to the list here. Like on top of Brooklyn, Utah, Washington, me personally, like I know what they did this offseason. Doesn't really matter to me.